Hi there, you find me right opposite Paycock's house. Paycock's house just happens to be in the location of today's video, but that's not the subject. This gap. There's old photographs taken showing the basket weaver's shop and just a couple of cottages that were here right next to the fleece. That gap was filled in with cottages. Those cottages there survived what I'm about to tell you. This is a result of a fire, and that's the reason those houses are not there. But the story I can chuckle at, but it's not really funny. And I will tell you a little bit about it, and then the wandering voiceover will kick in. It's to do with the Coggeshall Fire Brigade, which is around, this incident was around 1937. The mid-1920s ushered in the end of a time when parish councils ran the local fire brigades. Now the district councils took control. For Coggeshall it was Braintree, RDC, Braintree Rural District Council. There has always been a rivalry between different towns, brigades, and under the Rural District Council it was no different. When a new fire engine was purchased for the Bocking Fire Brigade, their existing 4-year-old towing vehicle and trailer pump was to be distributed to another brigade. It was decided that Kelvedon Brigade got it because of their newly built fire station, which was big enough to house the new equipment. Coggeshall still had the old fire station, so it was left with a hand-pulled hose cart and downgraded to a small supplementary brigade. This was in spite of Kelvedon's population of 1,700 being far smaller than Coggeshall's, which was 2,700. This added fuel to the rivalry between the two brigades. According to Trevor Disley's book, Fires, Firemen and Other Mishaps, Alfred Birkin joined Coggeshall Fire Brigade in 1904, and he was elected captain in 1916 during the First World War. He was captain on this day, Friday the 14th of May 1937, when a fire broke out in a row of 7 cottages next to the Fleece Public House. Coggeshall Supplementary Fire Brigade were first in attendance and turned out in their fire gear, drawing the handcart with Mr. Birkin's builder's ladder perched unsteadily on top. There was a good hydrant nearby, but just as they were making a start, the Kelvedon Brigade engine drew up, and their brigade, somewhat ostentatiously it was thought, played the part of the professionals. Windows were broken in the attempt to get a jet to play inside and knock back the fire, which was burning with great ferocity in the first 2 cottages. Mr. Cowell lived in the first, and the other was a small general shop kept by Mr. George Smith, a basket maker whose work was on display on the pavement outside. Stanley Haynes, then a young lad, remembers seeing the black smoke from the fire, and he was playing with his friend Ronald Tansley. They both ran down to West Street by way of Crouch's Path to find the houses on fire and a crowd gathering to watch. Stan remembers the polished brass helmets as the Coggeshall firemen got to work. The fire was also recalled by one of Kelvedon firemen who was present, Jim Parrish. Funniest thing that ever happened, I never shall forget it. We got called out to a fire, and it was over Coggeshall, up West Street, just past the pub. It was a house on fire. The fire was in the roof, and the Coggeshall Fire Brigade were putting it out, or trying to, when Kelvedon turned up. I can't think of the name of the captain of Coggeshall Fire Brigade, but he come along. This was getting on for lunchtime, and he said, "Hello, Bill," because this was Mr. Doughton. "Pleased to see you," he said. "You can take over now. We're going home for dinner." He called all his men away and left the Kelvedon men to put it out. As for the fire, neighbours worked to remove furniture from the third house, while the firemen fought and eventually brought the fire under control. The two cottages, including the shop, were completely gutted, and the next, occupied by Mr. and Mrs. Lawrence, although badly damaged by water, was saved. The gutted buildings were demolished, and the gap in the frontage remains to this day. The West Street fire marks the low point of the Coggeshall Supplementary Brigade, which had in truth become almost irrelevant. However, the world was changing, and the decision to accept the transfer of the fire engine to Kelvedon 9 years before increasingly looked like a big mistake. The rivalry between Kelvedon and Coggeshall Fire Brigades wasn't really the fault of Alfred Birkin. Coggeshall was left in a position of just having a tiny little hand-pulled hose cart, which albeit is you can hitch up to the fire hydrants, but no good really to respond to fires that are a bit further out of the town. But on this day, they were the first on the scene. And had I been Alfred Birkin, I probably would have been tempted to do this exactly the same thing. Say, right, now you're here, we're going for lunch. So thank you for watching, stay safe, and I will see you in another video.